actually became a trainer sort of, best way to put it was by mistake, almost. I needed a job. I was 20 years old. I would have been in my second or third year at St. FX. And summer's coming up and I needed a job. Just one of those things, I needed a job. I moved out of my parents' place. I'm going to live on my own for the summer for the first time ever. And I'm looking for jobs. Can't find a job. I just, for whatever reason, I couldn't manage to find myself a job. It was, I applied for some stuff and, it's a small town. Antigonish is not a big place. So looking for a job and finding a job in Antigonish, not always the easiest thing in the world. So I'm trying to figure out what the heck I'm going to do here, because I've made a commitment to rent this place with some friends for the summer. And I think the cost was like $50 a month. I think that's actually what it was, plus whatever the utilities were. I think that's what it was. I actually sublet it for my buddy, and we were actually at a bar one night right before the summer starts, and we're having a conversation. My friend Chris is there, and Chris and I are joking around, and then my other buddy Mark comes over, and we start talking. Mark says, "Where are you going for the summer?" And I say, "I'm going to stay in Antigonish." Next thing you know, we work out a deal, and I'm staying with Chris and Ian, who are another two friends of mine, for the summer. I think it was $50 a month. I'm fairly sure that's what it was, which in retrospect is pretty funny. But I didn't have a job, couldn't find a job, didn't know what the heck I was getting a job, and I was, I'll be honest with you, I was a little nervous because I thought, I've made this commitment. How do I make this work? Like, I probably could have gone and worked for my parents. My parents own a computer shop in Antigonish. My brother, he still owns that. It's been there, they're the oldest computer company in Nova Scotia since 1984. But I didn't want to go back to that. I wanted to make my own way because I'm stubborn. That's the truth of that one. I'm a stubborn guy, and I wanted to do my own thing. So I wanted to come up with a way to make money. I applied for a bunch of jobs. No one's getting back to me. And at the same time, I'd taken a personal training course. It was one of the really early rudimentary type ones, and I ran into two friends downtown. They told me they were going to take it. They were out having a couple drinks. I was hanging out with them, and I said, and again, I didn't even, in university even, I didn't really drink. And so I was like, that's a good idea. I'm going to do that. So I decided, that's it. I'm going to do that, and took the course real quick at the end of the year. And then from there, put some ads up. I put some ads up around campus, around town, with a little ripoff, call the number. Because back then, people didn't even, this is 27 some years ago, people didn't even really use email back then. It was, it was a phone call. So, I waited around a bit, and I had a couple calls. And I think I picked up like 3 or 4 clients. Really, actually, fairly quickly. And back in those days, people didn't have personal trainers. You have to understand, I was the only trainer working out of that gym. And I worked out of the gym at St. FX. It was like a dungeon in there. It just was no air conditioning, not much in the way of anything in it. It's just kind of it's a grindy place, right? It's just sweaty and dirty. And so, that was the only place to really do it. So that's where I was going to do it. And I had a membership, obviously. I never crossed my mind to even ask them if it was okay. if I could work from there. I just went all in. And I remember I had a lady who had a knee surgery. She had an ACL reconstruction. And I went to the library and read a bunch of books on reconstruction of knee surgeries, because I didn't know how to fix that problem or help her with it. So I spent like 2.5 days in the library reading about knees and how to help fix that. She was a really nice person. She would have been in her 50s, probably, knee construction from falling on the ice. And so I had her, another lady that wanted to lose some weight, had a gentleman, I can't recall his name, but he had some money. He was from town, he had some money, and he had a couple car dealerships. And I remember back in those days, he's one of those guys, his nose just ran all the time. And I thought he had a cold. to give you an idea how naive I was at 20 years old, I thought he had a cold, and I was always like saying to my friends, man, he's gonna get me sick because he's always stuffed up. And finally, my friend Blair says to me, "You're an idiot. He's a cokehead, you dummy." Never crossed my mind that the dude did drugs because I didn't know anything about drugs. I mean, like I said, I didn't even really drink. So yeah, he actually was a cokehead, but he was a good client. He always worked hard, and he always came to the gym on time. And he didn't sleep a lot. He didn't do a lot of sleeping. He did like to party a lot, but that is what it is. And he was a client, and my last client was actually a very good friend of mine, Brock Elliott. And Brock and his wife Gail were like second set of parents to me when I was a kid. They lived right down the road, and Brock and Gail were just super, super kind people. And I from the time I was a little kid, I took to Brock a lot. And then when we got older, when I was in my teens, and Brock had kids of his own, Brock and Gail both had kids of their own. They have 4 children who are sort of like my siblings too, because we were very close. Brock used to like to say that he worked out his all the kinks on kids first on me, so he'd make all the mistakes on me and not have to make them on his own kids. Yeah, super nice people. They lived in Antigonish at this point. He actually owned a health food store, so Brock and Gail both far ahead of where the norm was at the time. Like, people at the time didn't, health food was not a thing. It really wasn't, like protein powder, that type of stuff. Brock carried that stuff, so that was interesting. And I had been in the store one day just to visit him because, we were, like I said, we were very close. And he said to me, I said what I was doing. He said, "Oh, I would do that." So Brock was one of my clients too. And, I think I charged like $15 or $20 an hour maybe. And I thought I was pushing it pretty hard. I'll be honest with you. I thought I was pushing it pretty hard. But I spent a lot of time reading. I studied a lot for those 4 clients. And, I had a lot of those 4 people over the course of that summer. And those were the only 4 I had for the whole summer. Got the first 4 in the first week, never got another one. And I actually, interestingly enough, got a job working the desk at the gym, which was sort of the Alumni Aquatic Center. I used to answer the phone and say, "Alumni Aquatics, St. FX Alumni Aquatic Center, Devin speaking." I would say that one a lot. So I worked, there at the desk. And then I also trained those clients, and from 6 in the morning on, I'd be there. I remember I came there after the graduation ceremony, and I'd been up all night, and I showed up for my next client at 6 a.m. Remember, she was there, and I was waiting for her when she came in, and she said, "Have you been to bed yet?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Devin, you're graduating. You only graduated from college once. You need to go home and go to bed." And I said, No, it's fine. I can work. I'm good." And she said, "I don't care if you're good. Go home and enjoy your time. Consider it my gift to you." First ever late cancel, I guess, or cancellation I ever had as a client. But even back when I was 20 years old, I was pretty regimented that, if I made a commitment, damn it, I was doing it. That was my personality, and it sort of stuck. And I stayed there working as a trainer, and then during the year, I backed it down a little bit. I didn't have as many clients. I had Brock. I continued with Brock, 3 times a week. We'd be in the gym, and I would train him. And that continued throughout my, university career. When I graduated, I just continued with it. The funny part is, when at the time, I moved to Halifax, you can't work as a trainer really, because there's just not a lot of jobs. It's not a full-time job. In university, I had a couple clients and I worked a little bit, but by then you need more clients than that. You need to charge more to be able to make a living. And for a while I worked as a trainer, and I traveled around to people's houses, which was a lot of fun. It's a lot of driving. But the most memorable one I ever had, I had a lot of clients that were really great. Some people who have become very good friends, who are still good friends to this day, which is super cool. Probably the craziest one I ever had, though, I had a gentleman contact me, and he wanted to do some personal training, told me his goals, and we talked back and forth. And this is a ways in. This is probably in 2001 or so. And my sister and her husband were down visiting, her ex-husband now, were down visiting. And I had to go to this new client. And I showed up to his house, and he had a very nice house, and he was, I think he would have been Middle Eastern somewhere. I'm not 100% sure where. We didn't really discuss that. But he showed up, and he was just wearing a towel when I answered the door, and I thought, oh boy, we might be in for some trouble here. This might be bad. And he said to me, look, I'm not going to get weird. I'm not interested in you, but I like to work out naked. Do you mind? And I was like, no. Because at the time I needed money. I needed the money, and I didn't have a choice. So I was like, nah, dude, you want to work out naked? Fill your boots. And he worked out naked. I trained him. I was dressed. He was not dressed. And I actually trained him for a little while, like several months. Nothing inappropriate ever happened. Nothing weird ever happened, except the fact that he was naked every time I came there. Which I got to tell you was a little weird because he had to be careful, like on sit-ups, because he would, chafe on the floor on his mat. It was weird. It was weird, but that's probably when it comes to the weirdest thing I've ever done in fitness. I would say that's probably the weirdest one for me, the naked training. But that's how I started fitness. I really started it because I had no other options. Didn't have a job, and thought, you know what, I can do this. I know I can do this. It's something I love. I can just grind down on this and learn it. And happy to say the lady with the bad knee, after reading up a lot on knee injuries, she did really well. Progressed. I remember her name was Jerry, and did really well. And next thing you know, she went from walking with a limp to 2 or 3 months later, at the end of the summer, she was jogging again. Felt great. So I really felt like I had caught a niche there. I never thought it would be a career. I always thought, well, I can do this for a bit in my mind. I was like, well, I can do this for a bit. This is okay for a bit. It never crossed my mind that it could be something that I would be doing later. And I certainly never thought at 47. I always used to say, well, there's a shelf life. It's like, 35. Can't go above 35. Now I'm 47 years old, and I own a gym and still going strong. So apparently I didn't know as much as I thought I knew when I was in my early 20s.